Hi everyone. Hi Troy Central School. It's me, Miss K, Miss Klimkowski. And I thought that since we can't have science in the science room this week, I would bring a science class to you. And so what I thought I would do is bring you a read-aloud about building things and trying again and being patient and maybe even making some mistakes, but not making a big deal out of them. So what you're going to need for this activity is, first, you're going to need a turn and talk partner. So turn and talk partner, remember we do this in class a lot, is someone who you sit next to, and from time to time I might stop the story and say, turn and talk to your partner about this, that, or the other thing. And that'll be your cue or your clue to stop the video and then have a conversation with your partner. So your partner could be a brother, sister, another kid that lives in your house with you. It could be an adult that lives in your house, or you could go find a stuffed animal or even your pet. The other thing that you could do if you don't want to turn and talk, I can also tell you to stop and sketch. So for that, all you need is yourself, a piece of paper, and something to write with, like a pencil or a marker or a crayon even. Okay, so that's all you need is a turn and talk partner or a piece of paper and something to write with to stop and sketch. All right, so got all my notes, and that's all the things that you need. So when I want you to pause or stop the video, I'll show you this symbol, and you just press the button on the video that looks like this and answer the question that I ask. And then when you're finished answering the question, all you have to do is start playing the video again, and I'll continue reading. So I'm coming to you from the couch in my living room, and I need an assistant. So I'm going to call him, and I hope that he comes because he's in the other room. So, okay, if he doesn't come, don't laugh, but I think he will. Sam! Sam! Come on, buddy! Here comes my assistant. Are you ready? Come on. Say hi to the kids. This is Sam. This is my dog. And he's going to be my assistant today. And you might see him pop into the video because he's just curious. And he hears me talking and he thinks that I'm talking to him. Okay? So you, Buster, can go and do something while I read to the kids, okay? So the story that I have for you today is called The Most Magnificent Thing. And this book is written and illustrated by the same person. So Ashley Spires wrote the words, and she drew all the really nice illustrations. And in this story, there's a little girl and her assistant, right? I have an assistant, she has an assistant, and she and the assistant try to build a most magnificent thing. She has this idea in her head, and she tries to construct it, to build it, and see what happens. So if you look really closely, and I'm going to bring this up to the camera, she has a wagon, and inside of her wagon there are lots of different little parts and bits. And so I'm wondering what you think her idea might be. What do you think this little girl is trying to build? So now would be a good time to pause the video and turn and talk with your partner, or stop and sketch. What do you think the girl is going to build? Okay, I hope that you got some good ideas down. Now we're going to start the story. The Most Magnificent Thing. Written and illustrated by Ashley Spires. Before I start, I wanted to tell you that the word magnificent is a really big word that just means it's like the greatest thing ever, right? If something is magnificent, it's wonderful. It's beyond wonderful. It's like something you're proud of, something that's, gosh, it makes you just say, wow, it's so magnificent. This is a regular girl and her best friend in the whole wide world. They do all kinds of things together. They race, they eat, they explore, they relax. Sounds a lot like what Sam and I, my assistant, my dog, and I have been doing a lot of that this week. We've been racing around, eating together, exploring a lot, and doing a lot of relaxing too. She makes things. He unmakes things. One day, the girl has a wonderful idea. She's going to make the most magnificent thing. She knows just how it will look. She knows just how it will work. And all she has to do is make it. She makes things all the time. Easy peasy. First, she hires an assistant. Next, they gather their supplies. They set up somewhere out of the way and get to work. The girl tinkers and hammers and measures, while her assistant pounces and growls and chews. When she is finished, she steps back to admire her work. She walks around one side. Her assistant examines the other side. It doesn't look right. Her assistant picks it up and gives it a shake. It doesn't feel right either. They are shocked to discover that the thing isn't magnificent or good. It isn't even kind of sort of okay. It is all wrong. The girl tosses it aside and gives it another go. So right now I'd like you to turn and talk or stop and sketch. What is the problem? What is the little girl's problem? So what do you think the problem is? I think it's that this idea that she had just isn't really working out the way she had hoped. I'm going to read on and see what happens next. She smooths and wrenches and fiddles. Her assistant circles and tugs and wags. So it looks like she's trying again, right? She's doing some different things. When she is finished, she stands up and takes a long look at it. Her assistant gives it a nudge with his paw. The thing is still wrong. Look at her face. How do you think this little girl is feeling right now? And how do you know that? So now would be a good time to pause the video, turn and talk, or stop and sketch. How do you think the little girl is feeling? Well, I'm looking at her face and I'm seeing that it's not a happy face at all. I think she's feeling a little bit frustrated, maybe a little bit annoyed, but guess what? She decides to try again. The girl saws and glues and adjusts. She stands and examines and stares. She twists and tweaks and fastens. She fixes and straightens and studies. She is a really hard worker, don't you think? She tries all different ways to make it better. She makes it square, she makes it round, she gives it legs, she adds antennae. She makes it fuzzy She makes it long, rough, smooth, big, small. One even smells of stinky cheese. Ugh, can you imagine an idea that she had that smells of stinky cheese? I don't think I would like that one. But none of her ideas are magnificent. Look at all of those ideas. But not one of them is one that she thinks is magnificent. What do you think could be wrong with her magnificent thing? So if you take a look at all of these ideas, and maybe you're thinking of the ways that she described it. Some are fuzzy, some are long, rough, smooth, big. One smells of stinky cheese. What's wrong with the ideas? Why do you think she doesn't like any of them? Now would be a good time to turn and talk with your partner or stop and sketch. Her hard work attracts a few admirers, but they don't understand. They can't see the magnificent thing that she has in her mind. She gets mad. Look at her in this picture. I love how Ashley Spires, the author and illustrator, look at how she illustrated the girl in this picture. She has that little gray cloud on top of her head. That really lets me know that the little girl is mad. The angrier she gets, the faster she works. She smashes pieces into shapes. She jams parts together. She pummels the little bits in. Her hands feel too big to work, and her brain is too full of all the not right things. Look at how big that gray cloud above her head is getting. She's getting more and more upset and more angry. If only the thing would just work. I think that this little girl, she is so worked up and so upset right now that she is definitely in the yellow zone, don't you? Look what happens next. Remember, she is just so worked up. She's so angry. She's trying so many things. She's not being careful, and crunch. A pain starts in her finger. It rushes up to her brain, and she explodes. It is not her finest moment. I'm wondering here, this would be a good time to stop and turn and talk with your partner, or stop and sketch about the little girl and her reaction to the problem. Do you think that her reaction fits the problem? I'm wondering. So go ahead, pause the video and think about that. So what did you think? Do you think that her reaction, this explosion, fits the problem? I think that she is really upset and she is really frustrated, but I don't know. I don't think that this reaction fits the problem. I think that she needs to just calm down and maybe take a few belly breaths, maybe count to 10, maybe take a few breaths in and hold it and let it go. Do you think she'll feel better if she does that? Let's find out. Here she's saying in the speech bubble, "I'm no good at this. I quit." Her assistant suggests a walk. It's not much help at first, but before long, she starts to feel different. Bit by bit, the mad gets pushed out of her head. Sometimes when I get really angry or upset or worked up about things, a walk is like, it's just the best thing, right? It helps you calm down. It takes you away from the situation, gets some fresh air in your lungs, and by the time you get back, you're ready to think about your problem. As they stroll along, she comes across the first wrong thing she made. The bad feelings are about to start all over again. Then she notices something surprising. There are some parts of the wrong things that are really quite right. The bolts on one, the shape of another, the wheel to seat ratio of the next. There are all sorts of parts that she likes. So she goes down the line, and in each one of her ideas, there's one or two things about it that she's thinking, this may have not been the right idea, the right magnificent thing, but there are parts in each of them that really are good. By the time she reaches the end of the trail, she finally knows how to make the thing magnificent. She gets to work. She works carefully and slowly, tinkering, hammering, twisting, fiddling, gluing, painting. Her assistant makes sure that there are no distractions. And here are some of her neighbors who came, and they're looking at these things that she left behind. And this guy says, this is the perfect thing to ward off bears. So he's going to use that for something. And then this lady, she says, this will stop that leak. So it sounds like she had a problem, and this thing is going to help her. And then this kid way back here, he says, this one's all wet. The afternoon fades into evening. Finally, she finishes. She alerts her assistant. That poor assistant, he looks so tired. The pair take a good long look. It leans a little to the left, and it's a bit heavier than expected. The color could use just a bit of work too, but it's just what she wanted. They climb aboard and take it for a spin. They are not disappointed. It really is the most magnificent thing. So in the end, she ended up making a what? Yeah, kind of like this little scooter, right? For her and her assistant to play on. I'm wondering, did you predict that at the beginning? Remember way at the beginning when I showed you the front cover and I said, look at all of the things in her wagon and what do you think she's going to make? And you made a prediction. Did anybody come up with a guess that was close? Right? I love that. So I've got a couple questions for you. So I'm going to ask the first one, and I'll give you a little bit of time to turn and talk or stop and sketch about it. But I'm wondering, this little girl, how would you think that? Do you think that her feelings changed? Think about the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, and the end of the story. How do you think her feelings changed? And maybe also talk about or sketch about why her feelings changed. So now would be a good time to pause the video. Okay. So now that we finished the story, I have another job for you to do. This is another activity, and you can do this by yourself. You can do it with a partner. You can invite your grown-up to help you. I think it'd be really fun. So I'm wondering what your most magnificent thing would look like. So think about, do you want to draw it on paper? Do you want to go and look in your recycle bin in your house and maybe get some materials? Maybe there's some cardboard or some bottles or bits of plastic or paper towel rolls or toilet paper tubes, What could you build from those? Could you build a most magnificent thing? Maybe you want to use Legos or blocks or pillows, or I don't know, any kind of material that you have in your house. So your next activity is to think about something that you would like to build, a most magnificent thing. And when you're finished, if you like, have a grown-up take a photograph of it and they can email it to me. So here's my email. It's klimkoskis@tromass.org, and you can find it on the Trow Central School website on the science page too, if you forget it. So email me your most magnificent things and I will post them on the website and we'll take a look and see what you've come up with. Okay, so that's all for now, TCS. I will be back next week with another Read Aloud, and I can't wait to see you. I miss you a ton, and unfortunately, my assistant has left me. He's back in the other room taking a nap. So bye for now.